IMSA fans, we are here at the TireRack.com Battle on the Bricks. We have a dear friend of ours, BMW Technical Director Brandon Fry. This is a really unique circuit, Brandon. We got a lot of turns. It's a long track, but more than just being a long track, there are some long straightaways. Wanted to get your help telling IMSA fans about some of the setup concepts. How do we make a car go quickly here that would be different from another track? You as a supreme race engineer, what are the things, the mindset you're looking at to make speed?
Sure. Here, the track, a lot of corners, they're all medium to sort of slower speed corners. So change of direction is a big deal here, right? You do have the two long straightaways, as you said, Marshall. But outside of that, all the corners relative to a Watkins or a Mosport or even Road America where we were recently, slower corners, a lot of change of direction. So that's kind of a big topic for us.
So we'll talk about GTP cars first, then we'll get some of Brandon's insights on GTs and such, but knowing that we have these amazing hybrid GTP cars, your BMW, one of the glorious ones as well, you have some very specific and limited tuning tools, aerodynamically at least, if you wanted to take downforce off or add. Tell folks about your options.
Yeah, so our option is the dive plane. So we've got a couple different options in terms of dive plane. That is a drag item and a aero balance item. So then we'll balance that out with rake on the car, so rear ride height, and move our
bring the ride height up a little bit of rake in it, a little nose down, tail up.
Yep.
And so knowing that you do have limited things to tune with, and this place is very much of an aerodrome, aerodynamics are a big thing. You on the BMW side have chosen to be able to try different dive planes.
Yep.
At the rear of the cars though, you would think, well, hey, why don't we play with rear wing angle and we can add some maybe for qualifying or lay it down and get big straight line speed during the race.
But we can't.
Technical regulations.
But we can't, yep.
So if you take a look here, you'll notice the main rear wing plane here up top with this beautiful BMW M Motorsport logo. You have the upper element. You've got the gurney flap, some call it a wicker, but you and I are old enough to know that Daniel Sexton Gurney's name is attached to this item here. But if you look on the outside, you'll notice that there is this metal piece here that locks in the rear wing angle, Brandon. Tell folks about that, because since you're painted into a specific rear wing angle setting, you've got to tune around that instead of being able to manipulate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where, like I said, really our options are pretty limited. We're dive planes and ride height, how we set up the rake of the car. So, but much of the setup here is going to focus around bars, springs, bars, that sort of thing.
Bars.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing that would be fun to look at, so we talk about splitters. Some people call them front splitters. There's no need. There's only one splitter, so you just call it the splitter. But we get to see the bottom side here. This might not be something that IMSA fans are fully aware of. Explain to them what they're looking at there and how this big curved wing-like shape, it's ride height dependent. It's a really powerful tuning tool for downforce. But tell folks what they're looking at and how it works.
It is, and it's a piece that, as you said, it's very sensitive for us. So, as the drivers kind of run the curbs and sort of wear the edges off, you can start to lose performance. So certainly you want to make sure that the drivers aren't running into other people and damaging that, because very quickly you can lose a lot of aero performance.
Battle on the bricks. Don't battle each other too hard with contact. But if you come around and look on the trailing edge here of the splitter, there is a secondary element, Brandon, and that too is something that's pretty unique. Something we've seen a lot of in modern LMP1 type, GTP type prototypes, but explain that and how that works.
Yeah, it's just effectively this is a lot like the front wing on an Indy car, on an open wheel car. It's these prototypes, they take a lot of the same setup direction or aero direction from an open wheel car.
So you look at this huge shape, and most open wheel teams, IndyCar, Formula One, would give anything, would give their lives to have this much of a wing profile and curvature. So when we talk about a GTP car making really good downforce, the front of the car, oh boy, this is creating so much suction. But also if you look at the channeling here too, the middle here, this air curving, drawing down and then leaving, coming towards the bottom of the car, heading out towards the back. Why don't we go look at the car itself so folks can see where this high-speed air is traveling. So we have this glorious BMW M Hybrid V8, Brandon, uncovered, getting ready to hit the track for tomorrow. We just took a look at the nose, we took a look at the splitter, how that air is coming beneath and upwards. Tell us where it goes from here to make this performance, make this downforce.
Yeah, so under the floor, you've got the floor, and obviously the air can go out through the ducting onto the sides of the car. The floor, we've got a couple turning vanes, and the skids, we have a sort of a wear skid front and rear. And
we learned a lot about wear skids at Watkins Glen this year.
Yes,
folks didn't know as much how heavily this is being regulated. It's a really serious area to not only maintain, but there's performance to be gained if you can wear it more and run lower.
Yep. Yeah, you get it's a 5 mil wear area over the course of the race. So 5 mil. I mean, you know, we're constantly trying to get a mil of ride height out of these cars, right? So 5 mil is a big amount. But if you wear too much, you're outside the regulations. So and that reason is because between that there's a dome skid, and the wear ends are to protect that dome skid. Several years ago, some of these GTP cars or prototypes were flying, and the way they found that they could help keep the cars on the ground when they spun sideways was to put this dome skid down the center of the car, which is similar to what Indy cars will run on ovals and stuff.
And you look at how all the air coming from the front of the car here, as you mentioned, below, super important, powering the floor, making downforce, but also coming in here into radiators to cool the motor. If you look at even this, right? Look at the vanes here, this sculpted mirror, every single thing here. If you look from behind back where the tire would be, every single millimeter of bodywork is tuned for perfection. Even if you look down below, you can see the air coming through this channel, coming from the front of the car, a little turning vane almost right in front of it with the BMW M Motorsport logo, and around the back. One of the many reasons we love these new hybrid GTP cars, Brandon, every single part of the car is a mind-bending thing. Look at all the beautiful colors just in the cockpit. I don't know what everything means in there, but that's why the drivers get paid as much as they do, because they have great memories, but it's amazing.
And a lot of instruction.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have more, I think we talked earlier this year, I have more engineers on the stand than we've had, you know, in our GT programs than the IndyCar programs. There's a lot of systems, a lot of things that we need to make adjustments during the race. This needs to happen for the battery recharge or the brake-by-wire or whatever, you know, to optimize.
And as an old mechanic, I'm getting lost. I still get lost looking at this twin-turbo V8. This is just a marvel of engineering here as well, Brandon. Why don't we close talking about the GT side as well? Someone like yourself with a ton of BMW GT experience. What do you think our GTD and GTD Bro teams are thinking setup-wise around Indianapolis?
So they do have a little bit more freedom with their rear wing settings and that sort of stuff. So they all have a range, a homologated range. As you said, long straights and a relatively slow infield. So, you know, it's just like with the IndyCar races, when they come here, you need to make sure you don't get blown by on the straightaway. So I'm sure that, you know, there's some tricky compromises that they'll be making. Otherwise, it's the same thing. It's a track that, you know, there's a lot of, between these two straights, there's a lot of time spent going back and forth, side to side. So you know, you want a car that changes direction really well, brakes very well, gets power down very well. So those are the big challenges here. Traffic, I think traffic is going to be a big deal this weekend. You know, we got a big entry.
48 cars,
48 cars,
classes.
Exactly.
Wow.
These cars are roughly 10 seconds quicker than a GT car, so we're going to see them roughly every 7 laps. And I think the way you manage traffic is going to be a big deal. When we tested here, there was a lot of marbles offline pretty quickly, so it's going to be pretty challenging. You know, we watch a lot of IndyCar races. We haven't raced, you know, IMSA here for several years, but IndyCar races, it's, there's you see a lot of passing down each of the straights, but once you get in these long sections of right, left, you don't see a whole lot of passing. When we're coming up on a car that's 10 seconds a lap slower, that's going to create some unique challenges and opportunities, right?
Rockets down the straight, some awkward meetings and interactions in the braking zones between GTs and prototypes. We've got 3 different types of prototypes at different speeds as well. This is going to be a pretty interesting traffic jam here, but we're so thankful. Our friend Brandon Fry, look at the beautiful signage on the wall as well. Lets you know that IMSA is here for the TireRack.com battle on the bricks. We just got a little bit smarter about what to look for. Dragsters on the straight, but also having to hold on to things that might be sliding in the infield. This should be an amazing thing to watch Sunday on NBC.
Hope so.
Make sure you follow along with us on IMSA's official YouTube channel. Follow IMSA Racing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. We're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff with some pretty cool people, some pretty cool race cars. Visit IMSA.com to hear the action called live and download the official IMSA app to follow the timing and scoring information as the sessions take place.